And welcome back to another podcast with Ghost Stories Told from the South. I am your glorious host, Lexi LeBooth.
And I am your host, Stephen LeBooth. We're going to tell you some scary stories. And our last name's really not LeBooth. We're just being crazy. Our last name's really Booth.
Yeah, we're being retarded for you new listeners.
But are y'all ready for some scary stories told from Uncle Boo?
Well, before we do that, we have to give everybody a shout out.
Yes, we do. And we got lots of loves. Lots of loves.
We have a new state person.
Yes.
New state person. We have a new listener in Alabama.
We noticed that. We got another listener in Alabama, man. This is really cool, guys, because we're really starting to get like more countries and more U.S. towns, and it's amazing. We love it.
So thank you. Thank you very much.
Golly, Alabama put us. I bet you that's our 12th, 13th state.
Just in the U.S.
Yeah.
So.
Where heck, and everybody keeps piling on more and more stuff, and we love it, guys. Like we said, you need to email us too.
Yeah, email us, and you can DM us or whatever.
Anything.
Feel comfortable with,
Lexi's going to give y'all a shout out, and then she's going to go down the list of where we're at and how y'all can get a hold of us, because I know you guys want to. We really would like y'all's input.
Yes.
Something that would be awesome, because we're starting to get a lot of listeners, and I know y'all hear us for more than 6 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so we want to give everybody a shout out from. This is the states first. We're going to do the states first. So, from Texas, Washington, California, Ohio, North California,
North
Alabama.
California? You mean North Carolina?
Yes, Carolina.
I was like, wait a minute. There's no North California. North Crack-a-lacky.
I wrote it down wrong. North Carolina, Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, Tennessee, Utah, Illinois, North Dakota, and the District of Columbia.
And then we're gonna get some white powder down there, boys.
And then we also want to give a shout out to Bangladesh, the UK, and Ireland.
That's awesome, guys. And hey, I know you guys in Ireland, man, got some creepy stories too. Y'all could tell us, man, because y'all got a lot of good old folk legends and lore up, there. Y'all been there a long time. Same thing with the United Kingdom.
Yeah, they have a lot of creepy places in the UK. So.
Yes.
And also, we are, our email is ghoststoriesfieldfromthesouth@gmail.com.
Check it out.
Twitter and our Instagram are South Texas Ghost. It is spelled SOUTHTXGHOST. And we are on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, and Google.
Yes, we're on Google Play too. The only one we really haven't got a lot of play on, I've noticed, is iTunes. But like Stitcher, we're doing good on. Spotify, we're doing excellent on.
We also don't know how to work iTunes.
Yeah,
when we're using the app, we do, but we don't know how to do the background stuff. So
yeah, I'm still learning that one. But I don't understand it. I got that one for our iPhone people, and no one's used it.
I'm an iPhone user, but I use Spotify. My cousin's an iPhone user, but she uses Spotify. Well, her boyfriend is an iPhone user, but he uses Apple Music.
Yes.
So
we're trying to get as many platforms under our belt. So we've got a bigger brand of ways to get our stories out to you, because we really enjoy doing this, guys.
Yes,
it's awesome sauce.
So, do you want to start, or you want me to?
Who started last time?
I've always really started. So.
Go ahead. You go first.
Okay.
I'll check the Facebook. And that's another thing. We're going to have a Facebook coming up soon too, guys.
Oh, yes. We're still working on our kinks, though. Okay. So, this one is Boulder Hot Springs in Montana.
Boulder Hot Springs.
So, I'm guessing Boulder Hot Springs is the area.
Mm-hmm.
Montana, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't positive.
Because Montana's the state, and Boulder Springs is just another town.
Okay, well, I wasn't positive if it was a town, because it did mention a lot of buildings and everything being made, and it's talking about buildings in here. So I was like, I don't know if that's. I don't know my geographic stuff like he does. I don't know a lot.
Yeah, the geographic stuff wasn't her
Wasn't my
forte. I'm more of the history and knowing where my places are, but I'm not very good at math. So if it's percentage, yes.
Lexi's more better at the research than anything. But anyway, so.
Look what Skylene's friend wrote.
Sorry, I made
What
an
is-
appreciation post on Facebook before we just now came in here to do our little podcast thing, and I gave a shout out to me, my dad, and my cousin for doing our podcast stuff, and everyone was like, "What?" Just commenting on it and everything. So anyway, so there's apparently like a lot of buildings on the site.
Well, and too, like Montana, I believe they're. I mean, it was like one of the old west towns. I believe there was a lot of little gold towns, mining towns and stuff in Montana.
Yeah, well, that was.
Oh, and two cattle ranches. Cattle ranches were big up
See,
there.
this is why we have him here, because he knows all this. So, in Boulder Hot Springs, there's like a lot of buildings and stuff. But like, I guess the main site we're talking about, there's like a lot of places that were there broke. What is the word for broke down for buildings?
Abandoned.
No, like they tore them down,
Oh, demolish.
demolished, and everything like that, and then rebuilt like over and over and over again. So, the first builder or person that like started doing whatever building, this one's kind of confusing, so just kind of like stay put, or you'll figure it out. Anyway, the first person / builder started on a building, which ended up being a saloon / bathhouse in 1863. So, and then it got enlarged in 1881, and like including in that, it went from the salon and the bathhouse got larger, then became a hotel. So, yeah. And they only did that because they were like, oh, let's use it for the rich. And then because we always have this issue with building, they're like, oh, we can only do it for 50 people. When they ended up needing to be like, when they ended up being like, oh, let's have 100 people check in rooms. There's only 50 people that can stay here.
Oh my gosh.
So
It's like about in 5 minutes they're full. Oh, sorry guys, you should have came earlier.
yeah, that was their issue too. So September of the same year of 1881, the original builder that started everything, he died of a smallpox. I don't know, what is that, smallpox?
Smallpox was really big back then.
What is it?
It's basically like chicken pox. But
Smaller?
you get like with chicken pox. I had chicken pox as a kid, and I know you break out of the bumps and you itch. I don't think you have a fever, but with the one you're saying, the smallpox, that one I think you break out with a fever and all that, and it can kill you.
Yeah, because he died of that.
Yeah.
And
then back then, what they would do when someone died in the house or with the smallpox, they'd burn the house down because they didn't want to get contagious. So they wouldn't. A lot of times they didn't bury them; they just burn them in the house.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay. Well, so I didn't say where he died, but he did die of smallpox. And after he died, so he died before he could finish the hotel and everything like that. Like, it wasn't finished. So the new owners came in and they bought it and everything, and they finished it.
Oh my God.
So in then 1890, there was a 10-year lease put on the property. And then over between 1863 and now, it's had like several owners. It's one of those buildings where
Oh
it's
my
been
God.
like tossed around.
Yeah.
So, and then in 1909, a millionaire bought it, and then in 1910, it went under reconstruction. Like,
Oh yeah, they started
Renovation.
renovations.
and then in 1940, it was sold to someone else.
Man.
And then, so the 1940 person that bought it, they were the same owners for like 35 years. But then, it foreclosed in 1989. It never said why, but, yeah. Then it got returned to one of the original owners after it foreclosed. So,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I'm guessing they were kind of older.
Yeah, probably. If it was one of the originals.
Yeah. And then in 1990, they purchased it. One of the original owners purchased it, and then they renovated everything again.
Jesus Christ.
And then it opened in 1991. So, like I said, just between this, it's had like I don't even know how many owners.
Well, golly,
it's
since
been renovated like twice.
Yeah.
And that's
Jeez.
not counting the original construction.
Construction?
Or whatever. I wasn't say structure, but then I said construction, so I mixed the two. But yeah, so it was weird. And then also they say Halloween stirs up and like abrupts the spirits.
Ooh,
Like,
so that's a place to stay the night and do a podcast
on Halloween.
on Halloween. Boulder
Yes.
Springs. I got to remember that one.
And also it's like the history and stuff is like 135 years
Dang.
just on that place.
I bet you that's
So-
got a lot of history there.
Yeah.
Well, especially like back then, I mean, because, I mean, it was just rough times back then. You could get shot for anything.
Well, and so there was a prostitute that was murdered in the office area.
I'm not trying to be rude, but there's a lot of
Prostitutes.
motels and hotels from that era where prostitutes got killed and stuff.
Yes,
Well,
and it-
because a lot of the prostitutes back then, what they would do, Lex, they would, you know how some people live in motels for a week or two at a time and they just pay that week for rent? That's what the girls would do.
Yeah, cause they would
Yeah.
do that, and then some stranger comes along, and they're like, and they kill him.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I've noticed that too in a lot of the stories. Like, there's always like a prostitute, or like in the conspiracy theories that I'm doing with. Sorry, I'm doing my other podcast with my sister. Not a lot of them are like unsolved mysteries for prostitutes.
Yes.
So like,
Well, because back then, too, even today, when a prostitute gets killed or something, they're like, she's just a prostitute.
yeah, they don't really care.
Yeah.
So anyway, she was murdered in an old office area. It didn't say like from where or whatever. It just said old office area. So I'm sorry, I don't have too much details on that.
Well, you should have brought the blueprints.
Shut up. She was actually stabbed by a mining executive,
Oh, my God.
and I'm guessing that was her client, and he was just like, bye. I don't really.
It was probably a dispute over money. She was like, well, you owe me
And he was like, no,
20
I don't.
bucks. And she's like, no, I don't. I'm just giving you 10 because
Yeah.
you know.
And then they also called her the Lady of the Night. And in the hotel, or whatever it kind of is now, you can smell her perfume. Because she wore, like, a lot of perfume, like, so you can smell it. And there is you can hear footprints. You can hear footsteps. Oh, and get this. Guess what you can see? Just take a gander.
Oh, a lady in white.
Yes.
I'm not gonna bust the bubbles for my stories, but and two of the stories I'm gonna tell tonight, there is a lady in white.
See, I don't understand, like, how the lady...
Me neither.
in white
The
has
lady,
time
I
to,
mean-
like, I don't, like, that's one
Well, I
big
guess 'cause-
phenomenon that I don't understand.
And that's what I don't get either, because these women didn't die in white dresses. I mean,
Yes.
some of them might have,
Well,
but
and it's like,
I don't know.
the
It's-
different eras of this, they all
Yeah.
cannot be one person. So,
well,
like,
I mean, it's not the same chick, but it's just,
it's
I mean,
weird.
they all wear a
Some of them
white
are,
dress.
They call her, like, the woman in white, or the lady in
Yeah.
white. And how many times that one person's in the story.
I know.
Or, like, but you also don't know if it's the original lady in white and how many, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, it's...
It probably just a lot of it is what they wore back then, but there's some, I mean, I don't get it, because there's like the story I'm going to tell, and that tells about that, but she wasn't wearing white. I mean, she might have been wearing white. They didn't say what she was wearing, but she wasn't.
Wasn't wearing, like, a night... Like...
Yeah.
Because the lady in white, like, you can, like, she's wearing, like, the old-timey, like...
Yeah, like
neat,
the...
ankle length nightgowns.
Yeah.
Like, people wear like t-shirts to bed now.
Yeah.
So like I that or they go nude. So like I don't understand.
We go in our scrubbies.
So that's weird. And also you can feel like cold spots. Like you'll be walking, they say, and they'll be like you'll just like get cold instantly. Like you're walking in a freezer section.
See, and I've never had that. I've like seen stuff, but I've never really felt any cold spots or anything
Well,
like that.
We have talked about this in the previous I can't. I'm talking too fast. I'm sorry. I needed a podcast.
She
so
just
I'm getting too excited.
yes, she gets excited for podcasts.
Anyway,
We all do.
in our previous episodes, we have talked about like our house being haunted. Well, like when I have felt like a cold rush of air go past me,
See, I ain't never felt anything like that.
and I've played it off as a ghost just ran past me.
But like when I'm back here at the studio and I'm doing research for the podcast and stuff, whether it's this one or Borderline or my sports podcast,
Yeah.
at the corner of my eye, sometimes I can see like something going across the door out there, up and down the hallway.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. And they also say there's like a really, really strong energy, and it
Oh
like
gosh, and you can feel it when you walk in. See, that's another
yes.
thing. I've never really been somewhere and felt like just.
Yeah, and a lot of these places that's how they say it is. Like you walk in, and you're like, whoa.
That's how one of the stories I'm gonna tell. They're like when they walked in, they said they just felt fear and just.
Yeah. And also, I guess because the prostitute had a man kill her, so like they say any man that walks in the hotel or whatever, they like get pushed or tugged on, or like they feel a sensation of like.
She's like, oh, it's a man. Man killed me.
Yeah. And they also, I don't understand this one, but it might just be like over time, you know. They can hear children running up and down the hallways and stuff like that. So. Yeah, and then they've seen the murdered prostitute in the hallway.
Oh my God.
And they have seen her like at the end of the hallway with like a big smile, a twinkle in her eye, and just like disappear.
Nah, see, that's creepy. I'd be like,
vanish.
Man.
So, I mean, I cannot believe that the dang lady in white, like, is in another story. I'm getting really, this is kind of, I'm getting tired of having to say, lady in white was in my story again. Like, she's in every freaking story. It's like, that's one thing that I kind of want to get into is, like, the phenomenon of the lady in white.
Oh, yeah.
Because I kind of want to understand, like, the origin of it. Like, not like the origin, but, like, everything of it. Because if you look at the stuff, like, there's so many reported incidents or something of, like, the lady in white, the woman in white.
And I don't get it. I can understand why they call her that because they see her in white. But what I don't get is how she always ends up in, like, a gown.
And, like, half the time.
I mean, because she'll die in, like, regular clothes.
Yeah.
Only one, I mean, it's just like the lady over there in Dallas, the lady of the lake, the lady in white. She's the same thing. What was it? She died of a drownings, one of the stories, and another one's the car crash coming home from a dance or something.
Yeah.
You know, but
then. Like, they don't, normally, like, you see the ghost in what they died in or, like, what they used to wear.
Yes,
but
I've noticed.
In, like, their pajamas.
Yeah. That's what I don't get. I mean, it's like a lot of them just come back as a lady in white.
So it's weird. I don't know. But, okay, that's pretty much mine. We had a little
That's
lady
yours.
So, what's your first story for us, Daddy-O?
My first story is, I'm going to finish up what we was talking about on episode 11, the Turnball Canyon.
Oh, the one where the Indians would be dragged into?
Yeah, remember? That's the ones where the Indians, they was really scared of that place. It's called, I can't remember the name of it now, but they have the name. The name of it comes from the dark forest because the forest is so thick, the sunlight doesn't penetrate in there much. So it's dark. So the Spaniards, when they came over and they started their missions, they would drag them into the place that scared them the most and say,
yeah, and they would be like, you be a Christian or die.
Yeah. That's messed up. And then they thought by dragging them into the forest like that it would how do you say it? That it'd overcome their fears. That's what the Spaniards thought they was doing, was helping them out. But Jesus, could you imagine? You're sitting there in your little village, and your family's all there, and then these Spaniards come in and say they're your friend, and then they start dragging you into a forest that you know is bad, and you just, oh God.
Yeah, I can't. I'd be like, bye, I can't do that.
Okay, so let me make sure. I'm going to make sure real quick. I should have done this before we got on air. I'm a ding-dong. But let me see where I left off on the turnbike.
Yeah, sorry. Like I said, we're still trying to figure out some issues, and we don't
okay.
Stuff to the last minute.
This was, okay, I left off with the cult, remember?
Oh, yeah, because that cult was stealing
kids. That cult was stealing kids and stuff, and by the time the people got, because remember that guy snuck up there and watched them, and he went down.
In midtown, and he was like, oh, my God.
You know what they're doing up there?
They were all gone.
Yeah, and by the time they believed him, it was too late, and like you said, the kids and everybody was gone, and they thought they was, giving them, they thought that they was getting kids for all their cults in the surrounding areas. They didn't think it was just them. They thought they had like a little crime, not a crime, but a circuit or whatever you want to call it.
Just, like, blew it off.
Okay, so that was in the Depression when all the cult stuff started. Well, then in about the 19 after they got the cult ran out of there, they but back on, but real quick on the cult stuff. There hasn't been any reportings of kids missing or anything like that, but they still see signs of devil worship and stuff when they go there. Sometimes,
Still?
yeah, sometimes they don't know if it's kids being kids, but they'll see graffiti writing to say Jesus die. So they don't know if it's just kids being, happy, funny because, oh, we're in the bad canyon. Excuse me, guys. Okay, in the 1930s, guys, in the canyon, there was an asylum built, but they never said the name of it. But it was open in the It was open at Turnball Canyon. The patients came from how do you say that one? Pewtree
Hill, I want to say.
Yeah, Pewtree Hill and surrounding places. It was supposed to be a place of healing, but it wasn't. It was like normal asylums, and they just
treated them like shit.
yeah, and they didn't really know, the doctors, what they were doing. They was just trying to do all this crazy shit to fix the problems. So they was doing anything on the patients, because if they looked at it this way: if they died, they died. Oh well.
That's
Well, because like I said, a lot of people back then, Lexi, if they had money, and even if their kid
they didn't
was,
care.
our cousin Jared, he's got ADD.
Yeah.
Back then, they would ship you to an insane asylum. You weren't crazy; you just had ADD, man.
If you had the slightest bit of issues, you were gone.
Yeah, and if you came from a rich family, they would give them money to keep you there.
Yeah, which is messed
Yeah.
up.
But it didn't help anybody. But nobody really knows what happened there. But the spirits still haunt the place because it only lasted 10 years. And here's what's so weird
That is the shortest asylum.
Yes, it only lasted 10 years, and that's why there's no records of anything.
Dude, normally, they have, a huge thing at 10 years,
Yeah.
like a lawsuit or something, and they're like, oh, we'll change, but they never do.
Yeah, this one just got burnt mysteriously. Yeah.
Okay.
But it never did say if the government was coming down on them or there was reports of them neglect.
Does it even stand anymore? It's down.
It didn't burn completely down. I guess you can still
parts of it and stuff.
Yeah, there's still parts of it you can see, because wait till I tell you some of its other stuff. When the people would explore the place, now this is what we're talking about. They get all of a sudden they start getting panic attacks. And they feel it's just really, really, really scared and just.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
No, I can't.
Well, in the 1960s, a group of the Pewtree Hill teenagers went hiking through the canyon one day, and they stumbled across the old asylum. Well, they was going through, and I guess it didn't burn completely down. Like I said, it was a mysterious fire, but just like the offices and stuff burnt. Well, the paperwork and all that was. Yeah.
They were trying to get hide that there ever was evidence.
The fire was there and kind of spread. And it got a good chunk of the building. There's not a whole lot left by now. But by the time these kids went in the 60s, there was still a good, decent part to explore. Well,
it was all crumbled to the ground.
Yeah. Well, they was exploring it, and of course, being kids, one of the kids got in the electric chair, the one where they used it for shock treatment.
Oh God.
Now, let me remind you, this was in the 60s. This place burnt down in the 40s. So there's been no electricity there for how many years? Do the math.
20.
About 20? Right. He gets in the chair, and then he straps everything onto him, and he's like, he, hits him or, puts the deal to his skin and starts going, yeah.
Pretending.
Well, yeah, his friends think he's joking around, so they're all laughing. But then when smoke started coming up from his clothes and his hair started turning black, it was too late and he died.
What the?
Yes.
So he was pretending, and then he actually was
Yes.
electrocuted to death.
And they didn't know what to do. There's what the? They went to get him, but
Well,
by
if they touched it, then they would have got electrocuted too.
yeah, they didn't know what to do because come on, there's no electricity there.
Bet you the cops thought they were crazy. Or
Yeah.
killed him or something.
Yeah, they said the cops and everybody said it was all fishy, but the kids swore by it. They were like, "That's what happened. We weren't joking around, or no one did this to us." He got in the chair playing around and freaking really got fried. Yeah.
That's okay. That's when you run.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that makes me not want to explore.
Yes.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, like I said, his clothes started, catching on fire and stuff, and yeah, it was a bad deal.
So asylum, it was built on those grounds, right?
Yes.
Whose idea was that?
I don't know, but that's weird though. How mysteriously only lasted 10. It lasted 10 years, and then mysteriously, burnt.
Well, I bet you it's because of like how you said there was like the cult there and everything.
The cult there, and then the Indians already thought the place was cursed land.
Yeah, so it didn't help, and then I bet you everything that happened and all the didn't help with the mental patients that were already
Yes.
dying and everything.
So
And
they
then
were
if
just
had the experiments there. They were
adding to the
1960s. So then that's kind of when everything started coming out in the medicines and stuff, and it started becoming like, oh, you don't need this, this, and this.
Yeah.
So like, kind of, probably someone just set a fire to it and was like, or like you said with the electric thing.
Yeah, that's cruel.
Like,
That's,
oh, you want to get on my land?
And it hasn't
set fire.
Yeah, and it hasn't been no electricity there in decades.
That is weird.
And there's been sightings of kids hanging from the trees. You'll be hiking through there or something, and you'll see kids hanging from a tree, and they say if you look at them long enough, they'll open your eyes and look back at you and disappear.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing they say they see there is like dead spirits of the kids.
We're not going to that place.
And then listen to this. Richard Ramirez, right?
The night.
He was known to be part of a cult in that canyon. Yeah.
Wow.
It's just a creepy old canyon with a lot of...
Maybe that's the cult that made him think he was the devil.
Yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, it's just a weird... I mean, come on. Well, you got to think, too. Them Indians got drugged down there and got killed.
Like
then the kids got
together.
killed. And then whatever happened with the asylum, and we don't know how many people
And then
died
that
in the
kid-
fire.
Yeah, and then
And then that
got
kid-
electrocuted.
Yeah, but people, like I said, people even be going through the forest and get just this bad feeling, bad vibes when they're going hiking and
That
stuff.
is one place we will never explore.
So
Those
we're going
places.
hiking there. We're going to do it during the day,
I
though.
don't care how much money I get paid. I'm not hiking there.
Come on, guys. Send us your emails. Keep downloading this to get us more likes and more money so we can go do that and take Lexi.
You'd have to give me a horse
And then if I
tranquilizer.
see that shock treatment chair, I'm going to say, Lexi, there it is. Get in it.
No, if one of the kids is bad, we'll take them there and make them be like, huh.
Take somebody you
Jesus
don't like.
Christ.
That's crazy, man. I honestly don't know what I'd do if I actually seen like something. I mean, I've seen some stuff, but
we
when I've
haven't
seen it,
like,
when I see it, it only lasts for a couple seconds.
we haven't seen like Conjuring stuff yet, or like
Yeah, I would.
Annabelle stuff. Like if that happened, I don't think we would lose our minds. We'd
Yeah.
be like, talk about the problems we got now.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay, so I'm gonna be doing the San Haven Sanatorium, or it's also called the State Tuberculosis Sanatorium,
Oh.
in San Haven, North Dakota.
San Haven.
And that's also, I think, North Dakota is one of our.
Oh yeah, North Dakota's one of our people that listen to our show.
So yeah, and I didn't even
Chicka
mean to do
chicka chicka
that.
chicka.
Anyway, so like there's two names to it. Like, this is one of the places where it changed the names a lot.
Yeah.
So, okay, so in 1909, the state legislature set aside like $10,000 for the institution,
Yeah.
and it was placed near / the center. You'll understand this part because I didn't. It was placed near / like the center of the Canada border, more than the population center, but it's in North Dakota, so I didn't understand that.
It's closer to the Canada and U.S. border, right? Is that basically what it's saying?
I think so.
Yeah.
Then I guess any other.
It's kind of like where Uncle Mikey lives in Westville. We're like right there on the border of Oklahoma and Arkansas. Kind of like that.
I guess.
Yeah, that's probably what they mean.
Okay. Oh, okay. Like I said, not good with my geographic. So anyway, the construction for the institution, whatever it was, when it first started out, began, and it got delayed for lack of funds because they only got 10 grand, but they needed 50 grand.
Dang. So where'd they come up with the other 40?
Well,
Who'd they have to kill?
they had donations and stuff like that, but I mean, they don't really say. I really don't know. It opened in the fall of 1912. And then when it first started running and operating, the average daily rate to be treated there for, like, I guess it started out as a tuberculosis place. was just like if you went in and you're like, I have tuberculosis, or I think I do, I'm sick, you just had to pay $1.50.
Really?
Yeah.
How the heck did they pay for? Well, back then
It was
times,
way different
yeah.
time.
You
So,
could you
and
could
then
you could get a tank of gas for 10 cents.
and then $3. 3 years later, it went up to $7.
Ooh.
So
Just think now to go to DB in an asylum like that's like $700 a day.
I know, it's ridiculous. And this is another one of those places. It's like self-sufficient. They had cottages on the place.
Well, see, probably too. That's probably another reason why it was kind of cheap to people to stay there.
Yeah, well, because see, this is also like one of those tuberculosis centers.
Yeah.
And then it was like also sort of like a state asylum thingy. So it was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
It was when TB started
Oh yeah,
getting out,
when
they
that
had,
TB came down, man, it was kicking everybody's butt. That's what's gonna happen with the corona. Mm.
Anyway, so they built like cottages on the property, for the staff to go stay into, for this, for that, whatever.
And see, they don't even do that much anymore around places
No, there's very, very few
that are self-sufficient like
but
that.
there's not really any.
Because like even your prisons like that back then were, especially in the South.
Yeah, there's not any really anymore. And it also operated as a satellite hospital for the North Dakota Institution for the Feeble-Minded at the Grafton State School. So, like I said, yeah, it was a institution for the mentally ill, or what they said were mentally ill and handicapped.
Yeah.
And also the TB people. So
TTB.
I'm also gonna start saying TB instead of tuberculosis every time.
Go ahead. That's what everybody says.
Because
Or back then, another name they'd call you is lunger. Hey, lunger.
What?
Because it basically it's a disease, I believe, in your lungs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so in 1913, remember it opened in 1912. So in 1913, they only had 12 patients. Only 12 patients.
Why not 13? Were they scared?
Compared to how the other places have ran, that's
Yeah.
really good.
Well, yeah, because the other places you said, well, they was only meant to have 100 patients, and they had
Like 900.
They had 300 within a year.
Yeah. So in the 1920, they had 90 patients, and then in 1922, they had 140 patients. And it never did say how many they could have in capacity, but it never went over 200, I don't think.
Jeez.
So but there was also back then, whenever it started coming out, there's a lot of TB centers. I've noticed that there was so many. And this place was a 2-in-1. So, and it's going to get a little bit confusing because it's going to have going back and forth with the TB history and the state school history. But just stay with me. So, the state school / institution for the feeble-minded is called the Grafton School. So, I'm just going to say that.
Grafton School of Arts.
So, in the 1950s, the Grafton School sent some of its mentally handicapped patients to that TB center. So that's whenever they collided in the 1950s. And then eventually the TB patients were treated at home with medicine and stuff like that.
Oh, gosh.
When that was a thing.
Yeah.
And then by 1960, 1,300 mentally handicapped patients were treated. So.
Whoa, how'd they go from 12 to 13?
Well,
100.
Because they were combined with
Oh,
the
that's
TB,
right.
and then they started sending the TB patients home.
Yeah.
They were going to die and stuff like that. Or, this is, I guess, the only time I that.
Well, because that TB, I don't think they never, I know there's medicine for it now, but I don't think back then there really wasn't.
Well, when they started cutting out with it, they give them the medicine to make them go home. And then it took over as a mentally and
yeah.
So, and the Grafton State School and the Stan Haven TB Center just collided into one big thing. The state school, the Grafton State School place, took control of the Stan Haven, the TB Center. They took in full control in 1973. So, that happened. But because of the medicine that came out in the late 1950s / 60s, people and patients were, discharged and home and all that. Well, patients went from 1,300 to 6. So the TB center closed, and the patients that were at Grafton State School that were sent over there got sent back. Because so Oh, sorry. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, so they sent the mentally ill patients back to the Grafton State School and closed the other one. And it said at least like 400 employees disappeared. Never said they were fired.
400 employees just disappeared.
Yeah, never.
Not at one time, right? Maybe through the course of the time.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's like a lot of patients.
Yeah.
Within like 1912 to like 1990.
Yeah.
It never said if they died, they ran away, they got TB.
They just lost them.
Yeah, it never did say what happened. So, the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa?
It's an Indian tribe?
Yeah, it's an Indian tribe. Purchased the Sandhaven School from the state in 1992.
Oh, cool.
Well, one girl went into it and she was giving her experience about like how it looked and stuff, and she said all the windows were broke and the doors and everything were broke. Like the doors were off the hinges and it was just a complete and utter mess. The walls were removed like the wallpaper was.
Oh, yeah.
And it looked gross.
So nasty.
And the elevators were like crushed. Like the metal like was just like crushed in.
Oh, my
Like,
gosh.
They had, like beat the elevators. And there was an attempt to burn down the building. Because there was like a bunch of like burn marks on the building.
Oh, my God.
So, there's also been like fires at the hospital. Like, after it closed, like I guess like little false fires would like break out, but they would go out. It was weird.
More mysterious fires at the insane asylums.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about it, and now that I'm thinking of it, that is weird that we both had something like that. And it's on. This show has been on Ghost Adventures.
Oh God.
St. Haven Sanatorium or the TB Center, whatever. It had like 3 different names. So
is that big one they did with the? It had the big old breezeway so they could push the beds like out onto the balcony. And that.
No, that was another one I talked about.
Okay. Well, there was a lot of big old TB centers like that back in the day.
Yeah, well, because their treatment before the medicine was like, a lot of sunlight and reassurance and all that.
Yeah,
so.
sunlight and a lot of fresh air.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if when the haunting started exactly, or I don't know how much the building is left, but people say that they can.
So the Indians don't anymore?
No, they do.
Oh.
But I guess it's private property, but I
mean, yeah.
People obviously still trespass.
Yeah.
And I guess before they got it, people went and got on it, and I don't know. But I mean, there's still going to be ghost stuff.
Oh
to tell
God, yes.
People can start articles and stuff if they go and trespass. So, but I don't know when the ghost stuff started or whatever because of how many places it was and stuff like that. So, you can see the apparitions of like the nurses, and you can hear baby crying, and you can hear a bunch of noises. And they say the 5th floor is the most haunted floor. And then there's a bunch of myths and legends about the place. Like one of them is that a trespasser fell down an elevator shaft and died. So like I don't know what all happened or how many people have died, but they say that it's like really, really haunted. So
let's go explore that place. Sure, I'll push you down the elevator shaft. See, I don't know how I would handle freaking hearing babies cry, man.
Me neither. I don't know. And with like the insane asylums, a lot of them like depending on how busy they were, like this one had like 13,000. Like they would get like just have sex a lot and get pregnant, but like the babies would they were messed up. I don't want to say messed up and get anybody offended, but they were like to the doctors they were messed up so they get put down or like
oh my God. Jeez.
So like, there's so much history, but that's all I got.
It's just crazy how they just brushed stuff under the rug back then. Just so nonchalantly how
like little they cared for human life.
I know. Just oh well.
I mean, I know I'm a mean person, but like I would never like be like, "Oh, you're retarded. I'm going to like a fish." You know what I mean? Like, Jesus.
She was just a prostitute. She died.
Oh
well.
Instead of a brown-haired girl, I don't want her. Like that's literally what it was, and it was. I don't.
Pretty much. It's like I said back then, man. If they thought you had a hint of anything, they sent you to them places.
Yeah. What you got for us, Daddy?
Alrighty, I got the Stow Lake.
Where's that at?
The Stow Lake is in San Francisco. It's part of the Golden Gate Park. The entire area has a dark side. It's a place where murders and people commit suicide.
Wow.
And a woman lost her baby in the lake.
Yeah, wow, okay.
Yeah, wait till you hear that. She should have been paying better attention. I'm just kidding. I shouldn't say that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First story is about the woman. There was a woman in the park one day, out with her baby, pushing her around in the stroller, having a little afternoon breeze with the baby. And, of course, she sat down by a bench to talk to a woman, so she put the stroller, right there by the bench. Well, she got to talking to the woman, wouldn't pay attention to the baby. And I guess back then, how the ones now have locks on them?
Yeah, the ones back then didn't.
Yeah, I don't think that had a lock on it.
Yeah, if you didn't hold on to it, your baby would have rolled down the hill.
Yeah, well, she was talking, turned to the side and talking to a woman, not paying attention. And the baby, I guess, went off into the lake and nobody noticed anything. And then when she turned around, she was like, my baby, has anybody seen my baby? And nobody seen it. And the last thing she did was jump into the lake after her baby, and she never returned. They never found her body. Of course, when that's happened in the early 1900s, there really wasn't any way to go diving and search for the body. I mean, they had kind of people swimming around trying to find her, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you were to do that, like, if that happened now, I mean, there's, like, diving crew and everything.
Oh, God,
like that.
yeah,
Like,
but
back
yeah.
then it was just like, oh, kick your feet in there and see if you feel a body.
Yeah, she jumped into the lake after her baby, and she never came back. And they even made a statue for her and put it there. And that ties into some of this creepy stuff.
Jeez.
Yeah, she turned around, and, of course, her baby was gone, and she was flipping out, going, you see my baby, see my baby. All right.
Have you seen my baby?
Okay. And here's the story about the statue. I told you they made a...
the statue. Of Joe
statue.
For her.
Oh, wait. I went too far ahead. I got to start with the legend, the legend, how it goes. The legend goes, if you go to the lake at night, you'll hear, like, weird stuff happening, and you're just, here's some unpleasant stuff. Stories have been told of a woman coming out of the lake, and asking, have you seen my baby? And another legend is the statue that they built for the woman in honor of her, and her baby.
Yeah.
The statue, they say, sometimes will actually turn and be like, hey, have you seen my baby?
The statue will talk?
That's what they say. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Just think if you were drunk off your butt and you went over out there and you was like, huh?
I would be like, wow, I'm losing my mind.
I think I'm drinking too much.
I want to call it quits. Jeez.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Like, no.
And then if you go... Where is it? I lost my place. I hate it when I'm reading through this and then I start talking and getting into the story and I lose my place. So sorry, guys. I don't like having dead space in my podcast like that.
Yeah, we don't. But
okay, if you go, if you go there in a group of cars, they will stall out all of a sudden at the same time. And then if you go to the lake and say, if you say lady in white, and then say, I have your baby, she will appear and ask, have you seen my baby?
Dude, that's kind of like the Bloody Mary legend. Well, there's like so many, but like one of them I heard is like, wow. One of them I heard is like if you look in the mirror and you say like Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary,
yeah.
Bloody Mary, I have your baby. She'll pop out and she'll be like, where's my baby? That's like creepy.
The one we always heard when I was growing up as a kid was the say your name 3 times fast, and then you open your eyes and you'll see red eyes staring back at you in the mirror.
Yeah.
Or I've heard the other one where she'll scratch your tongue.
Ew.
Yes.
No, thank you. Ew. What happens if you go there alone? Does she like try to take you?
I don't know. No one's ever been attacked by them so far. But since 1908, the first story of the Lady in White, 1908 was the first story of the Lady in White that was written. And since 1920, there's been reports of a police officer walking around. Yeah, and no one's really researched it to see if what happened to him or anything.
She done and killed the police officer.
Yeah.
She's like, you didn't help me find my baby.
But it's just like since 1890, since they established it as a state park and all that, like I said, people have been going there to commit murders, homicides, and nobody knows why. Because when they kill themselves, they never leave a suicide note. They just kill themselves.
Maybe it's like that lady's like, oh, my baby's gone.
So everybody die. Well, that's what the kicker is. The baby story happened like, I think, the early 1900s.
Dang, so that one's been a long
Yeah. But there's all sorts of spooky stuff out there, they say. And when I see this is not, I need to get the other computer in here and get it set up so we can look at the pictures. It's a real creepy kind of lake. It's not like a real big, it's basically just one of them lakes to go and do your paddle boating stuff on.
Oh, it's like not, okay.
Yeah, but it's a creepy looking little old lake, man. And then they try to make it look not as creepy and put like geese and swans in there.
You mean goose?
Yeah. and swans in there to make it look, a little bit normal, but it just makes it look even creepier.
But a lot of them turn up like that.
Yeah. And it did. It showed a picture of the woman's statue too. But that's messed up, man. I'd crap my pants, man. I'd be sitting there in the park and that statue
like,
go,
have
you
seen
my baby? And they say sometimes you can just be sitting there at night and she'll walk out of the lake. Yeah.
Okay. That's normal around these parts.
So yeah, it looks like, if this podcast stuff ever starts paying off for us, we got a lot of places to go explore.
We're gonna go to the Queen Mary first.
Oh no, we're gonna go to the scariest place. We're gonna find the scariest place where we know we'll get some definite stuff.
I don't want to poop my pants on the very first ghost hunting thing. Okay, so I know I've already done a territorial prison, but I did one. I don't remember where I did it. I did it in another place. This one's in Montana again.
You and your prisons.
Okay, so this one is Deer Lodge, Montana. So this one is kind of started in the Wild West days. So it's kind of been there for a little bit, so some stuff happened. Okay, so in an attempt to tame the Wild West, a prison was established in Deer Lodge in 1871. And it was constructed primarily with convict labor. So basically the prisoners were the constructors.
Yeah.
And then it was an active prison until 1979. So, I don't know the math on that one. But it was there for a while. And, okay, so there was no prison in the territory of Montana during Civil War and the Gold Rush days. This was the first one. Federal prisoners were sent to the Nebraska State Penitentiary. Penitentiary. So, because there was no prison, that's where they were sent to. And then the violent territorial laws were the people who broke them and stuff. They were incarcerated in the county jails in Madison County. So, until this place was established, that's where everybody was.
Jeez.
So
that's kind of crazy right there.
Yeah. So they needed 40,000. Am I saying that right?
They need 40,000. What do you mean?
40,000 for it to be built,
Oh, money.
Yeah.
They needed $40,000. Yeah.
$40,000 for the prison to be built. But there was an argument of where they were going to build it. So it was a lot of back and forth of we should build it here. No, let's do it here. No, I want it here. Why do it there? Do it over. You know what I mean? It's
everybody fighting and no, do it over here. This is where the cool prisoners go.
Yeah, it was a huge fight. So They at first got like like I said, like 40,000, and they needed at least 100,000 for the prison to be.
Well, they was just a little short.
Yeah, just a little bit.
They just have to save up their lunch money.
So they weren't gonna get any more money. So they had to make like extensive cost cutting projects. Like they had to figure out a way to make the prison without splurging.
Yeah.
So, and they had minimal expectations. They made it as, crappily as they pretty much could. There were bare stone walls. There was a roof, a floor. There were 14 brick cells. They were 6 by 8 feet.
Just 14?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And there was
That's not a lot.
And there was nothing in between the cells besides, like, the poles.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the roof.
Wow.
So, like, they were minimal, literally. And I don't understand how you can make a prison with 14 cells.
Yeah,
that's like a jail. That's like
yeah.
county jail.
Yeah, that's not a prison. That's just a regular old cop shop.
Yeah. So then they got more money later to finish the prison, I guess, from everyone coming in and everything, I guess. And they built 70 more cells, and then they ended up doubling, but double bunking.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed that too with even the stories you've told about prisons and what I've seen on TV and stuff.
That's like a thing now. Everyone
they start out
triple bunks.
Yeah, they start out with just one cell, and then they start getting so overcrowded, and them cells weren't made for two. They was actually made for one, but they don't got the room, so they just stick bunk beds on there and just start.
Yeah, because everyone's like, oh, there's not that many criminals. Let's just make it for like 14 or like 100.
There ain't gonna be nothing happen. We got good people in our town.
Psych.
No way.
So when they put the new cells in and everything, and they fixed their sleeping arrangements, they could fit at least 140. So.
Dang, they moving on up from 14 to 140.
Yeah, they did. So in 1908, there was a failed escape by a prisoner, and as my understanding went, how they had it set up, there was a warden's office. They had like a deputy warden and like the actual warden, like the person in charge of the prison.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I just slammed my paper. And then they had, like, the deputy, like, the top cop person.
Oh, yeah.
So, they had they had, like, the warden's office, and then they had the deputy warden's office. Well, I guess there was a escape and a raid thing, and they killed the deputy.
Oh, my
warden.
God. They took over the prison. The inmates are running the prison.
And the warden, like the person in charge of the entire prison, he had to get 103 stitches just on his back.
Jesus Christ!
I don't know how he survived that, or like.
See, I just couldn't be a guard in a prison.
No, especially nowadays, they don't look at you for crap.
But not only that, I'd be afraid of them taking it over and me dying or getting killed or stabbed or just anything.
Yeah.
I mean, because think about it. There's more prisoners in there than there are guards and crap.
Oh, there's a lot more. So that happened in the federal building, and it didn't say how that got out or anything, but like back then it was super easy. Way easier than it is now. And then that building was demolished in 1931, and it was replaced. Don't know if it's like running now. No, obviously it's not running now, but like.
So basically they just tore the old one down in the 30s and built a new one.
Yep. So
well, think about it. That's about the time, the plumbing started getting a little bigger, I think, and electricity.
That's where that guy died. So like.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of go through about like what different buildings they had along with the prison and kind of talk about like each one. So. They had the cell house, which had all the cells in it, and each cell had running water. They had flushable toilets, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know when those.
Well, because see, at first, I know like San Quentin, that's an old one. They had buckets. You had two buckets, one to poop and pee in, and one to that was your fresh water. Ew. And they'd come by and I think get the buckets at the end of the day. Oh, so if you had diarrhea, you smelt it all day.
And there was not Febreze back then.
No. If you didn't have a breeze, there was no Febreze.
Nope. Okay, so like I said, each cell had running water, the toilets that flush, and they had like good ventilation. So.
Well, that's like that prison you was talking about in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah.
That was the first prison to have running water. Running water in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first prison, and that was the first building in the U.S. with plumbing in it. And the White House didn't even have plumbing at the time,
Dang.
but a prison did.
Wow. Okay. So they had galleys. They had 8 galleys, and what they were, they had like little hallways, I guess, sort of. There was 4 on each side of like the wall, so there was 4. There was 2,
Yeah.
because 8. Okay, so in each um um galley, I don't know why they call them galleys, but they contained 25 cells, so it was a total of
Oh,
200.
basically a unit. That's what we call unit. That's what they call them in prison now is units. So in this
Oh.
certain unit, you got 25 cells over here, and this unit you'll have.
Oh, okay.
So that's
Sorry.
basically what it is.
Okay, my bad. Okay, so and like they had a certain amount on each side,
Yeah.
like on each. Yeah, so I guess on each side of the prison they had 4 because there was a total of 8. But they went from like 140 to 200, and they kept on going up and up and up. So they had to keep on upgrading the prison. So there were two inmates per cell, which we already talked about that. But they were not. This prison was strict with that. I never heard of a prison being this strict so far. They were not allowed to talk during meals, during work, or from cell to cell.
See, even the prisons back then, they'd beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, I guess you only
And get away with it.
allowed to talk at night to your cell
Yeah.
partner. Other than that, you were quiet. And so the deputy warden's office, the one that got shot and killed,
Yeah.
that was located across the street from the prison. For safety
Lovely.
reasons. But it didn't work out for safety reasons. He still died.
He still got whacked.
So he was in charge of the daily operations, and in 1959, that's whenever the prisoner got out and killed him. So, and he got killed in his office.
Yeah.
So the inmates were strip searched before and after visits.
Dang.
And you know how extensive those visits are, or those strip searches. They're like putting their hand in your butt and make sure you don't have anything. And
jeez.
so, and then they added the wire mesh and stuff over time, when that got popular. But they also have a license plate factory.
See, and that's funny because that was a big thing back then. You got sent to prison, you'd make
License
plates.
Jesus. And then they had the prison you already know to go work out or whatever, and then they had the black box, which is a punishment box. It was
and a lot of places had stuff like that.
Yeah,
some
like
people call them the black box,
a hole.
or some people, excuse me, guys. Some people call it the hole.
Yeah, it just varied on.
And I don't see how that kind of punishment is gonna help anybody.
Put you in a hole with nothing and just see how you are.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was a area, like a place just of total darkness, and you were locked in this place for a certain amount of time, usually from 1 to 3 days depending on what you did. They had a mattress, a wool blanket, and a honey bucket. I don't know what they mean by honey bucket.
Well, the blanket's probably to sleep with, and the honey bucket, well, you said they had running water.
Well, I know, but if you're down there...
Oh, that's right. If they're in the hole, yeah, that's basically their water to drink and stuff probably, or their bucket to...
I wonder why it's called a honey bucket, though. Maybe they put it on honey and it's making a little smell.
Well, I don't know. Think about it. I don't know. Maybe it's just their nickname for shit bucket.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Hey, someone look that up for us.
Yeah. Let us know. So, there's a 108-year-old history, The prison yard had a lot of buildings also. And they used like I said, the area for exercise. They had a garden. They had horseshoe pits. And they had a lot of courts. Like a tennis court and basketball court and, And then it also became like a woman's maximum security prison too. Like it was a maximum security prison, but there was also like women there too.
Yeah.
At one point, but that didn't last very long. So that was there, like in 1907. The first women were housed on the 3rd floor of the same building as the men, and they were housed there till 1926, and I guess until they started making the women's.
Oh, yeah.
And there was only, like, 10 or less women. So there wasn't that many.
Yeah.
Because, And then when the maximum security prison, whatever, that happened, the women moved to other buildings. Like, when it became its maximum security prison, they sent the women away. So,
Wow.
there was one famous inmate, and you might know who he is. Paul Ether, also called Turkey Pete.
Turkey Pete. I got no idea, but let me look that up on my old phone here. Turkey Pete.
I was meant to get
What
history
was he,
on
like a cowboy or a mobster? Well, if in the 30s and stuff,
Well,
he's probably like
they
some
did say
mobster.
that there was a lot of mobsters there.
Okay, so what's his name?
Turkey Pete. That was his name. But it was Paul Esther. Do Turkey Pete and see what comes up. Sorry, I should have looked that up, guys, but, I'm kind of...
That's all right.
I was going to look it up and I kind of forgot.
Turkey Pete. His real name was what?
Paul Esther.
Yeah.
What'd he do? I want to know what he did.
Well, I'm trying to click on it.
You want me to use the phone, you oldie?
Yeah.
Prisoner from cell number... Wow.
What does it say he did?
Came to the old Montana State Prison in 1918 to serve a life sentence of 40 years for murder. He got his nickname Turkey Pete by tending the prison's turkey flock. In his own world, he thought he owned the prison. When he died, the guards purchased his tombstone. In the Montana moment, we explore the colorful life of the inmate in cell number 1. Dang. Okay.
Huh.
And they had a funeral for him. That was the only funeral they ever had.
Dang, well, he's been there forever.
Well,
Sounded
he was
like.
a really, really famous one.
Huh.
I'm trying to figure out what he did. He murdered someone, obviously.
It had to be.
Oh, okay, so... Yeah, there was a traveling salesman who liked a boarding house, and he liked a young lady, I guess, that Turkey Pete liked. And so they got in a fight in the kitchen one night, and Turkey Pete went and got his .38 revolver and walked into the kitchen and shot the man.
And shot that buddy down.
Yeah, and so he died 3 days later, and he was convicted of a first-degree murder, and he began his life sentence.
Dang.
But everyone said that he was a model inmate.
And that's probably why everybody stuck up for him and bought his tombstone.
Everybody was like, Turkey Pete, Turkey Pete. Wow. Okay. Yeah, he was a cowboy. Mobster cowboy thing.
Huh.
So,
Very interesting.
Well, it's closed down now. But, I mean, it's, of course, one of the abandoned buildings. But they, obviously people trespass and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So, you can feel a lot of goosebumps whenever you walk in. And you can feel very, very, unexplainable cold spots in certain areas. Just get a whiff of it.
Well, prisons, man, they're like hospitals and insane asylums. There's so much negative energy there. There's not a whole lot of positive.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just sitting there in prison. How freaking... I mean, you put yourself there, but...
Yeah, So...
But still.
You can see, mist, form, and then, there's a bunch of shadows, and you can see, figures, how we see that one in the hallway just run past.
Oh, yeah.
You see a lot of those.
We called that one in our house the shadow guy. Or person.
Yeah. They also hear a lot of eerie sounds, scary sounds.
Yeah.
And then you get a really, really bad feeling of death, all of a sudden. And angry and stuff like that.
That place has a lot of death.
The solitary confinement area, the block the dark, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The bad person area.
Yeah.
There's something in there that tries to attack people.
See, and there ain't no telling, because I guarantee, they didn't keep a whole lot of good records, and somebody might have died in there and went crazy.
Because they were starved in there, too.
Yeah. I mean, you're stuck in a freaking black box in the freaking ground, man.
Yeah.
You're going to go crazy and kill yourself.
Yeah. So it shoves them and attacks them, and it whispers, in their ear and makes them go crazy and stuff like that.
Yeah. And see, there's a lot of other places like that have the holes like that when they'd stick them when they were bad. It was like that. There's a place like that, they say, on what's that prison in the San Francisco Bay? Alcatraz.
Oh yeah, I tried doing that one, but I didn't understand any of it. So
What do you mean you didn't understand it?
The history, it was very confusing.
Well, it started out as a fort at first, an army fort.
There was a lot of government crap involved, and I'm not trying to
Oh,
I
know it was started out as a fort at first, and then they did have prisoners there from I want to say the Civil War.
Yeah, it's a thing, but There's also like a lot of paranormal investigation, I guess, that happened there and stuff.
Yeah, and see that place has another. Like I said, it's got the hole, and there's one of them in there where son of a bitch will attack you. They say.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's like because prisons people put themselves in there, but you mean like the guards? Even today, the guards are still buttholes to everybody.
Oh God,
and
yeah.
Beat on them and any chance they'll get. So, did you do all your stories?
No, I still got one more.
Jesus, well, we're way past the hour, so we're good.
Heck yeah, this one I got is a little old bridge in Pasadena, California called the California Street Bridge.
Ooh.
And I see that's another reason why I should have that laptop up right now. I could show you a picture of it because it's not like any normal bridges around here. You know how our bridges are? This one's like a big concrete, freaking huge
Like the London Bridge thing?
Nah, it's totally different.
It's just like really long or something like
It's
that?
kind of long and curvy. It's like a kind of curvy.
Hell
Yeah, it's
no.
like a creepy looking bridge. Well, its nickname is the Suicide Bridge.
Oh, that's great.
People have been committing suicide there since November 16th of 1919. That's when I guess the first person jumped. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
And then listen to this. During the Depression from 1933 to 1937, they tried to renovate it, but it didn't work out. And the Depression, there was people jumping off it almost every day. And no matter what kind of renovations they do to it or blockers or something to keep people from jumping, they still do it.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah, and this bridge isn't really, the research I did on it, it's not really haunted and stuff. Like, there hasn't been any car wreck. I mean, like, they killed people. There hasn't been any there hasn't been a wreck where cars went off the bridge and killed people. It's all suicide shit.
Like, people, like, actually, like,
Yes.
voluntarily are like,
Yeah. They say the bridge calls to them. They say that.
let's not go on that bridge because we have people that
Listen to this. The first ghost that haunts the place is a construction worker. And the story goes he was killed during the construction of the bridge because I told you it's a big concrete bridge.
I think